Welcome back to another episode of Week in Review. This week we're going to take a look at the 3.2.2 patch, the letter from the chairman, and the removal of the UEC cap. So, let's get started. Welcome back. So at number 7, we have the 3.2.2 update. This week gave us an all-new 3.2.2 release, seemingly coming from nowhere. The patch released on Thursday this week direct to the live servers, and seems to only include a fix for throwing grenades and logging their activity on the CIG side. This is likely the reason for such a fast turnaround, but it was a surprising release nonetheless. At number 6, we have Letter from the Chairman. This week sees yet another of Chris Roberts' Letter from the Chairman. He wanted to address the community to clarify a few details and make a couple of announcements about the year ahead. The first of these is the announcement that 3.3 will release in line with CitizenCon on the 10th of October, as opposed to mid-September like many would expect. This makes it easier on CIG managing the event, rather than having to handle post-release at the same time. 3.4 will release in mid to late December, giving a shorter 2-month development period for this release, which explains why we see less content in this patch than usual. Chris also addressed the recent community concerns about the lifting of the total UEC cap, which was previously set at 150,000 UEC. He clarified that even now you can stockpile ships worth many thousands if not millions of UEC, and this move allows players to melt their Voyager Direct purchases for UEC if they wish, rather than hanging on to these things they don't want or can no longer use. The game will always offer the chance to earn all items in-game, as opposed to buying them with real money, and some items will only be earnable and cannot be purchased. More details to follow as we get closer to release, but CIG fully intend to keep the game as fun as possible for as many people as possible. At number 5, we have the roadmap update. This week skips the roadmap update, with Chris Roberts telling us in RTV that they're still working on it, and he doesn't want to release it until they're 100% sure with how things are laid out. It sounds like there are some changes to come from what we've seen, and it'll fully release next week, so I'll update you then. At number 4, we have lore content. This week's lore content is an employee newsletter from Shubin Interstellar, aptly named Mining Rocks. It takes a look at the last 400 years of the company's history, and a look to the future of mining in the verse, all the while throwing in a few jokes and references. It's a good read, and as always I'll link it down below. At number 3, we have Around the Verse. This week's ATV brings us another look into progress towards Alpha 3.3. One area of focus for this release is mining on planetary bodies, which sees improvements being made for the next patch. A number of current issues are being fixed and some improvements are planned to make the experience flow better. Asteroid mining is also in early testing, though it brings a new set of challenges to the mining experience with its zero gravity element. Face over IP and voice over IP are both being built out for the release of 3.3, though both still have their own challenges to solve before they'll be ready for the verse. Upcoming 3.3 weapons are having their audio built out in an interesting test environment CIG have put together. Motion systems are being tweaked to make movements seem more natural. This will mainly be used by the AI systems, but will likely see its way into many aspects of the character animation in the verse. Work also continues on tech for lifting and carrying animations for objects, making it look much more natural overall. They're procedurally generated, avoiding the need for complex animations for each object a player might want to grab or carry. This makes the whole experience much quicker to develop on CIG's side. FPS combat continues to be refined, with the AI being polished and tested in a white box environment to measure effectiveness. It looks very convincing, and I'm certainly excited to see how it plays. That's all for ATV this week. Progress appears to be going well, and many exciting things seem to be getting fleshed out as time goes by. At number 2, we have Reverse the Verse. This week's RTV features Chris Roberts chatting to Jared, answering questions from the community and giving insight into the development of 3.3. Chris confirmed he's not happy with the current dogfight experience, and there is a lot of work to progress to improve the system. We likely won't see the changes anytime soon, but we should keep our eyes out for some demos at CitizenCon and any changes that might pop up. The new IFCS system is being built out with integration to the Item 2.0 system to allow players to tweak their flight control experience with ship components, etc. Atmospheric flight will also be further improved to take into consideration the effects of things such as wind on the flight model. This will allow planets to have different characteristics when it comes to entering their atmosphere, with their flight model, landing, etc. all being varied. Chris confirmed he is currently happy with how the quarterly release cycle is working, and it's going very well internally. They're seeing a lot more positive outlook from the community, devs are being more aware of features which might slip through a release, and overall things are going very well. Ship rentals are being worked out for Alpha 3.3, allowing players to pick up their ships with a UEC in the PU. It's still too early to tell whether this will make it into the 3.3 release, but I'm sure many of you will be happy to know that progress is being made. This should allow you to upgrade your ships while you work and progress in professions from within the verse. Chris touched again on the UEC cap, reminding players that these inequalities exist in other MMOs, such as new players joining World of Warcraft, and in Star Citizen, with players who own bigger ships which they could sell for large amounts of UEC. Chris wants a heavy NPC population in the game to allow those who don't want to engage other players to be able to avoid them. In PvP, a player always loses, so they want it to be an optional thing in the game, and have NPC combat be an option. Current limitations holding the servers back are physics calculations, which are limited in CPU cores they can use. Once this issue is fixed, we'll see increases in the number of players per server, and hopefully some performance improvements. With 3.3, we will see the release of Hurston, which is partially covered by water. This will be the first time that we see water in the verse, and it's still very early days on the mechanics. Swimming, buoyancy, etc. won't be present in 3.3, though they are planned, so it's likely we'll either die on entry to water or something similar before the mechanics are fully implemented. The latest 3.3 core tech push is taking a lot more engineering effort than originally estimated, which is part of the reason things have been pushed out of the release. CIG are dedicated to getting object container streaming running and ensuring the Cortex is running over everything else. Vulkan support is planned, but there's currently no timeline for its release, and the decompression mechanics shown at Gamescom were partially built out, but had to be put on hold as it was waiting on other mechanics to progress. They'll continue to build it out in the future when this tech has matured. That's all for RTV this week. Chris gave many answers to some interesting questions that have been plaguing citizens for a while. He plans to do these more regularly in future, and I personally look forward to it. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought. And finally, at number 1, we have the community overview. This week sees much debate around the lift of the 150 UEC cap, with the community being rather divided over the issue. We also see many people discovering new and exciting bugs and issues with the 3.2.2 patch, posting many clips of accidental explosions and deaths. Overall, a very happy and engaged, if slightly annoyed community, which is always great to see. That's all from me for this week. Like if you liked it, get subscribed, and leave me a comment letting me know your thoughts. I'll see you in next week's episode of Week in Review.